Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. In today's video, we'll be looking at the 4 most common filters you can buy for your camera, looking at what they do, but more importantly, telling you exactly what they don't do. So let's run the intro. Okay, so the first filter we're going to be taking a look at is the UV filter. So what doesn't a UV filter do? Well, it doesn't make your grass greener, it doesn't make the sky bluer, it doesn't add detail to your photos, it doesn't add contrast, it doesn't make your photos look more professional, it doesn't give it more of a saturated look. What a UV filter actually does is nothing. Yep, absolutely nothing. You see, a UV filter was used back in the day when cameras used film, and the film was sensitive to UV rays, and you would use a UV filter to protect the film from these UV rays. But modern digital cameras are not affected by UV rays anymore. So for modern cameras, a UV filter does absolutely nothing. And to prove this point, I'm going to hold it up to this very camera here and show you that it does absolutely nothing. So that's the UV filter, the biggest waste of money for your camera. Now, some people say that you can use it as a lens protector, but then again, so does a cardboard box, and you wouldn't use your cardboard box while taking photos. UV filters are normally sold by camera stores to unsuspecting new camera buyers just to get a bit more money out of you, and they earn a little bit more commission from it. So avoid UV filters, they do nothing for your photos. On to the next filter. The next filter we're going to take a look at is the ND filter. Now, unlike a UV filter, these actually have a purpose. But first off, let me dispel a few myths about the ND filter. Again, they don't make your grass greener, they don't make the sky bluer, they don't add more contrast, they don't add more detail, they don't make your photos look any more professional. In fact, the ND filter doesn't alter the image at all. But what they do is restrict the amount of light entering your camera, so you're able to control your shutter speed or aperture. Now, normally on days like today where it's really sunny, we don't get to control the light. But by using ND filters and sticking one of these on your lens, you do ultimately get to control the light entering your camera, and that is their main purpose, or in fact, their only purpose. All they do is restrict the amount of light entering your camera so you can control either the shutter speed or your aperture. So that's what the ND filter does. Let's move on to the next filter. Okay, so the next filter we're going to take a look at is the variable ND filter. Now let's dispel a few myths about this as well. You don't use it for astrophotography. Again, it doesn't make your grass greener, clouds whiter, sky bluer. It doesn't add detail or contrast. Again, it don't make your photos look professional. This works in the same way that a standard ND filter works, but you get to vary how much light is restricted into the camera. You see, a standard ND filter restricts the amount of light to a set level, and you use different filters depending on their strength to restrict the amount of light. But with a variable one, by rotating the lens in different directions, you can either allow more light in or restrict more light. But their ultimate job is exactly the same as a standard ND filter, and that is restrict the amount of light entering your camera so you can control the shutter speed and aperture. And that is all they do. Now, a normal ND filter set is used by photographers mainly, and a variable ND filter set is really handy if you're doing any kind of video work. So that's the variable ND filter. Let's move on to the next filter. So the final filter we'll be taking a look at is the polarization filter. So what doesn't a polarization filter do? Well, it doesn't alter the colors in your image. It doesn't make your skin look softer. It doesn't tell you which way north is for your camera. All a polarization filter does is remove the glare and reflection off reflective surfaces. That is all a polarization filter does. By attaching it to the front of your lens and rotating it, you get to adjust how much glare or reflection is in your image. So that's the polarization filter. So there you have it, the 4 most common filters you can buy for your camera and what they actually do. The UV filter does absolutely nothing. The ND filter restricts the amount of light entering your camera to a set amount. The variable ND filter does the same, restricts the amount of light, but you get to adjust the restriction. And the polarization filter removes the glare or reflection off reflective surfaces. So that's going to bring this episode to an end. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. If you have, give it a like down below. If you want to see further content from myself, hit that subscribe button. But for now, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch up in the next video. See you soon, guys.